So I'm glad to see the president is doing things on his own. Today or this week, he announced that he was withdrawing or taking back or pulling the security clearance of John Brennan, the unhinged, Trump-hating CIA director under Barack Obama. Now, John Brennan is part of the group that needs to be criminally investigated for abuses of office while at the CIA. Because he was part of this crowd that was targeting Trump as well for illicit reasons. And since he's been out of office, since he left the CIA, he's been attacking Trump in weird, threatening tweets. And I quoted a few. I have them here. Hold on a second. Someone was running, I think Hannity had the other night, some clips of him on MSNBC. It was even worse than I knew. Regularly calling the president a traitor and kind of crazy things like that. He referred to the president's term administration as a failing kakistocracy. Kakistocracy is essentially a regime headed by the worst of the worst. And this is the one tweet that I picked up on. When the full extent of your venality, moral turpitude, and political corruption becomes known, you will take your rightful place as a disgraced demagogue in the dustbin of history. You may scapegoat Andy McCabe, he's defending the alleged criminal Andy McCabe, but you will not destroy America. America will triumph over you. Why would a CIA director, even a retired one, write stuff like that? And that sort of animus shows you why it's easy to understand, or it shows you how it should tell you what was behind the spying on Trump. This sort of craziness. Now, not only, and it's not just about what he's saying that shows that he doesn't deserve the public trust that comes with a security clearance, but he's alleged to have spied on the Senate and lied about it while he was CIA director for Obama. And of course, Judicial Watch has sued the CIA repeatedly about some of Brennan's activities, if not specifically, but what the CIA was doing on his watch with respect to Spygate and other things. And we just sued him earlier, I think we sued him in June, or the CIA in June, because it was disclosed that he likely leaked the dossier, the infamous dossier created by Christopher Steele and company, Fusion GPS, who were all working for the Clinton campaign. Well, he used that campaign document, put the CIA stamp on it, and briefed Harry Reid. And Harry Reid, according to a book, who is then the Democratic leader of the Senate, he's now out of the Senate, he basically got the impression, the strong impression, that Brennan wanted that secret information, because the dossier at the time was secret, at least the CIA version of it. Reid got the impression that Brennan wanted it leaked. So what did Reid do? Being the dutiful partisan, he typed it up in a letter and sent it out, and it became public. So we're suing about his communications with Mr. I dropped my paper here. So we're suing for his communications with Reid. We're suing for basically collusion with the Democrats in the Senate to get after Trump through leaking this dossier. So I am so glad and proud that the president removed Brennan's security clearance. Now, the president also announced to the White House that he is considering removing the security clearance of Bruce Orr. I think he's the only one still working in the government. Sally Yates, Susan Rice, Peter Strzok. Yes, the fired Peter Strzok. Does he still have a security clearance? Looks like he might. Comey, people like that. Now let me tell you about the security clearance scam. The deep staters are all aghast that the president removed Brennan's security clearance. Brennan doesn't deserve a security clearance. It's a privilege. It can be removed anytime. Anytime there's credible, derogatory information, you can have your security clearance removed. And why does he need it? If you're a government contractor that needs access to classified information, you should get a security clearance. If you work for the government, you should get a security clearance. But the idea that top-level government officials get to retain their security clearance as a courtesy is the definition of swamp corruption. To say the phrase courtesy security clearance is to refute it. It's inherently corrupt. I tell you, he should, as a matter of course, say, you know what, you leave government, we may need you to keep your security clearance if you're a high-level government official in case we need to touch base with you about something specific for a month or two. Otherwise, it ends. The only reason people like John Brennan keep security clearances as courtesies, it's like a title. They get to use it to burnish their resumes and add value to their advice, meaning make money. You, the American people, don't benefit from it. And when Brennan has a security clearance and he's out there calling the president a traitor, it makes it look like he has classified information he's basing that on. That's why these folks are invited on TV, in part because of their connections, because of the idea they've got security clearances. Now, Michael Hayden, who's been very critical of President Trump, unfairly in my view, says, well, I don't get classified briefings. Then why does he have a security clearance? It's a risk to give people security clearances who don't use them or need them. It's a risk. It's a national security risk. And I tell you, the president's firing of Comey was a great anti-corruption move, and the president's decision to pull back the dishonest Brennan security clearance was a brilliant anti-corruption move as well, and he should be applauded for it. And I'm not blowing smoke in the president's ears. I don't agree with everything the president says or does. Who does? That's true for any president. But when a president when any president takes anti-corruption moves, we're going to applaud them. And when they're not doing what they should do, we're going to say they should be doing more and they need to move faster. So he follows up with this by pushing for the release of records. That would be even better, which is what he should do. The president should do. But it's good for the country that Brennan no longer has a national security clearance. The fact that he did was a risk to national security. And the deep state's reaction to it shows you just how corrupt the deep state is. I think you had all these former top-level officials in the intelligence establishment sign a statement attacking Trump for taking away his security clearance. To me, that's further proof as to why it should have been done. The deep state got all together and complained that one of their own lost something they never had a right to begin with. I mean, Judicial Watch knows the security clearance business. We've represented whistleblowers who've been punished as a result of blowing the whistle, and they get their security clearances removed like at the drop of a hat. You have a former CIA director credibly accused of lying to Congress, the concerns about him leaking information, and he's out there suggesting he's got dirt on the president, showing that he's a traitor and he colluded with the Russians when in fact he didn't. Security clearance should have been removed long ago. Remember Susan Rice? She has a security clearance. The Benghazi liar? Why does she have a security clearance? Thankfully, she's on the list that President Trump is considering removing the security clearances, the list of people that the president's considering removing the security clearance from.